I want to wish you all a very happy Vijayadashmi or Dashera, and I hope you're enjoying the festivities and the joy that this day brings. Now, as per Hindu tradition, today marks the victory of Ma Durga over the demon Mahishasur. It is also the day we celebrate the triumph of Bhagwan Ram over the formidable demon that was Ravan. Let's talk a bit about Ravan. He's quite an intriguing character in Hindu mythology. Often depicted with 10 heads, Ravan was a great scholar, a capable ruler, and a maestro of the Veena. But here's the thing, he had a strong desire to overpower the Devas or the gods. And those 10 heads of his symbolize his profound knowledge of the six Shastras and the four Vedas. However, there's a darker interpretation to those 10 heads. They represent 10 emotions or senses that reside within all of us. Things like Kam, which is lust, Krodh, which is anger, Moh, which is delusion, Lobh, which is greed, Mad, which is pride, Matsar, or envy, Manas, or mind, Buddhi, or intellect, Chit, or will, and Ahamkar, or ego. Now, when it comes to investing, some of these emotions can be quite the obstacle to a long term success. Just like the story of Ravan, our minds tend to incline towards things that might not be so great for us. It's a natural human tendency. But if we want to be wise investors, we must learn to recognize these tricks our minds play and avoid making the wrong moves as much as possible. And here's where it gets interesting. I've put together an illustration to depict what I like to call the 10 demons of investing. Here it is. So the first demon of investing here is envy, right? So I have to get richer faster, and we're always looking at the other side of friends and colleagues who are getting richer faster than us, and we are always envious of them. And envy is supposedly the greatest sin or one of the greatest sins of being an investor. So it's a demon out there which is there to get you. Then you have arrogance, right? It's all about my skill, I and me, right? I want to get richer faster. It's my skill that makes me rich faster, right? It's not luck. We don't give enough credit to luck, and we are arrogant enough to understand or believe that it's only my skill or it's only our skill that can help us get richer, which is I think far from truth. It's not just only your skill that can help you get rich or get create wealth from stock market. It's also a combination of huge amount of luck that comes your way. The third demon of investing is overconfidence, and overconfidence I think is one of the biggest biases or one of the worst biases of being an investor, or of anyone who's making decisions under uncertainty. We always overconfident of our skills, of ourselves, and that leads us to trade a lot in the stock market. That leads us sometimes to borrow money because we are overconfident that by borrowing money we can maximize our returns and repay that borrowing in the future. Sometimes it does not happen. When you lose that money, you also lose your reputation as a borrower and as an investor. Overconfidence is something that leads us to overpay for stocks, both good quality and bad quality stocks, I think, which is another sin in investing. And then, of course, it is overconfidence that leads us to make future predictions when we know that most of our predictions never come true. So that's about overconfidence as a demon. The third demon, which is one of the most famous demons that we have within us as investors, is that of greed, right? So we are always greedy when it comes to investing our money. We always greedy to earn higher returns, the best returns out there. And in that greed, we end up making a lot of mistakes because we end up buying a lot of bad businesses or bad investments just because we are greedy to earn quick returns and faster returns. Of course, it is also driven by envy. The greed factor is also driven by envy because we are seeing others making a lot of money faster. So we also become as greedy as they are, probably even greedier because we want to beat them at their own game. Another demon, which is or the probably the most important or the worst demon that we have, is I, right? So I combines all the demons inside. So rather than blaming others for our mistakes and errors in investing, I think if we can curtail this demon called I, because I or you are the biggest risk to investing, right? To you yourself. I myself am the biggest risk to my own investing, right? My behavior overall. And how do I manage these emotions? I think that's the biggest risk to investing. So I is a demon which overpowers everything. Then we have the demon of fear, which leads us to make a lot of mistakes, and we always like fear having the fear of missing out on things, and that's the reason we buy stocks which are rising, because we fear that we may miss out on potential future gains. We also have the fear when the stock markets are crashing and stock prices are falling. Even when we promised ourselves earlier that we will not be fearful when others are fearful, we'll be greedy when others are fearful, but we take these emotions to the extreme end. So we are greedy when others are greedy, and we are fearful when others are fearful. So fear is a demon. Fear is good, I'm sure, because fear helps us stay protective. Fear helps us avoid a lot of those dumb risks that can cause us problems in investing. But when we are over fearful, we are always on the sidelines, or we are selling our stocks faster because we think that before we lose the paper profits, right, we'll let me sell the stock and move out. So we are always fearful of things going wrong. Gluttony again combines with greed. So gluttony is one of the demons of investing. Here, what I mean by gluttony is over concentration. We invest our money in very few investments, very few in the sense like two or three or four investments or stocks, and we think that we know it all, right? So we over concentrate, and if something goes wrong over there, that really hurts us in the long run. Of course, you see a lot of rich investors, big investors talking about the importance of concentration. But I think, as most investors would understand, heavily concentrating on a few investments can also bring about a lot of risk. So that is one of the demons that we need to counter. Rather than being over concentrated, we need to be well diversified in most cases. Another demon is that of illusion of knowledge, right? So as we learn a bit about the stock markets and investing in business, we start to think that we know it all. And especially before we start learning about the markets and investing in ourselves, we think that we know it all. There is a effect called the Dunning Kruger effect. There's a bias which plays out here. So Dunning Kruger effect simply means that the less we know, the more confident we are, and the more we know, we realize that we did not actually know so much when we started out. So illusion of knowledge is one of the demons of investing. If we can get over that, nothing better than that. Wrath is another demon. That wrath simply means anger, right? So we always angry at ourselves when we understand that we made a mistake, and we think that I cannot be making such a mistake, I cannot be so dumb, and we end up holding on to a bad businesses, right? So wrath, anger with ourselves, is I think is something which is not a good thing. We always angry with others, we always angry with the stock market when it is falling, right? Rather than taking the blame ourselves, I think we are blaming everyone and we are angry with everyone. So that anger can also lead us to a lot of bad investing decisions. The final demon of investing that hurts us is that of herding. Herding simply means that we go and do what others are doing. It's like the herd race, right? So if people are selling, we end up selling stocks. If a lot of people are buying, we end up buying stocks. It's like being greedy when others are being greedy, and being fearful when others are being fearful. So uh, being in a herd often leads us to make a lot of mistakes, because in the stock markets, in the short run, the herd is never right, or rarely right. In the long run, it can be right, but in the short run, if you're just following the herd blindly, and if you're just doing what others are doing blindly, without thinking, without putting in your mind and thought process, I think you would be in for a big shock. So these are the 10 demons of investing, right? Now the thing is that we have all these demons within us, right? Whether we are investors or not, it's all about choices. How many of those demons we choose to feed, and how often. Now what we need to do is recognize and accept that these inner demons exist. Only then we can learn to tame them before they start eating away at our investment returns. So, my friend, as we celebrate Vijayadashmi and reflect on the victory of good over evil, let's also take a moment to reflect on the victory we can achieve within ourselves by mastering these investing demons. Remember that no one can claim to have completely vanquished them, but knowing they are there is a powerful step toward financial wisdom. Thank you for joining me today, and as always, stay tuned for more conversations like this, where I try to keep things real and relatable. Until next time, happy investing.